Hi, welcome to Future Path. And once again, we have a very interesting guest. And before I bring our guest onto today's conversation, thank you so much for those of you who are sharing your feedback. We really appreciate it. And thank you for spreading the word because though the subscriptions are low, we see the downloads are significantly high. So obviously, you are sharing in your network, and we really appreciate for doing that. And once again, uh, those of you who have not subscribed, please do subscribe. It goes a long way for us. And with that, we will bring in Manjari Upadhyay. And many of you may be aware, but for those who are not familiar with Manjari, she's today identified as a welfare activist, but we will hear it from her as what it means. But she did start as a pharma professional. Well, Manjari, welcome to Future Past, and thank you so much for making time to be here with us and share your journey.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot for having me here on this platform for the larger number of viewers and my greetings to everybody. Yeah, so when my title goes as a welfare activist, welfare state is the doctrine upon which the Constitution of India has been laid down. So when we talk about welfare state, that talks about maximum happiness for maximum people. So we need to go back to the days when the India was set free from the British rule, and then Constitution was there in the process of making. So kind of socio economic strata India was going through, the constitution makers had to be very very thoughtful that it should be streamlined, like constitution should be streamlined in a way that every small or big portion can be ensured, which streamlines and ensures maximum happiness for maximum people. So it cannot be just one switch which can be put on and maximum happiness for maximum people can be attained. It requires multiple and diversified fields. And when we talk about activist, so in general, as an activist, people have a notion that it is only about going and protesting, whereas our mode of functioning in journey of social work, we have tried to become reformers, working more on reformative uh, modes. Like we know what are the problems, what we are being able to define the problem statements, then trying to identify that what can be the solutions to it, and bit by bit, slowly and gradually, without seeking so much of limelight from the world around, we've been just doing it happily and holistically, and had been very very blessed to have wonderful people around. So that's how this designation of welfare activism or activist comes in place, and at our organization, that is Jijivisha Society. Yeah, when we are registered as an organization, so registered office bearers have different designations, but in general, everybody who works with Jijivisha Society is a welfare activist. We hardly follow any hierarchy here. It is a hierarchy free system, so everybody is involved in ensuring welfare. The levels may be smaller or bigger, but then everybody's ultimate job is to do the service that brings welfare and that can ensures the concept and doctrine of welfare state to bring maximum happiness for maximum people. One more reason why we can share this happily, because I had a journey as a pharmacy graduate and then had worked with pharmaceutical industry. So obviously there is a certain amount of knowledge regarding healthcare, allopath, regarding medicines and all, and then sales and marketing and training and HR. Fine. So this mix of pharmaceutical industry knowledge, pharmacy and pathophysiology knowledge. Once I get into a study of social science, like I'm an MA postgraduate with social sciences, so SST, and then moving as a lawyer doing
Yeah,
LLB.
maybe Manjari, you should start from the start. I think let's
Oh,
get your journey, and I think it'll become easy for us to connect on that.
yeah, for sure. So I hail from a district called Jaunpur in eastern part of Uttar Pradesh. So by now, UP has already been talk of the town in the whole country, and in fact, in many parts of the world also. But when I was born, it actually was not. UP was said to be one of the most Bimaru states. I mean, both UP and Bihar. So, my village name is Sarai Mohidunpur. It's there in Shagan Tehsil of Jaunpur district. And when I was born, the whole area was actually like shed with a lot of stereotypes when it used to come pertaining to a girl child. So having a girl child as your first child itself was not considered to be a very happening idea. But then, I mean, initially, my father also had to make peace with this fact. But then, of late, he became a source of inspiration. He himself, being an UPSC aspirant, having faced interviews for becoming an IAS officer, and alongside, though he could not succeed in the interviews, he could not make it. But then he made sure that in terms of my education, he'll ensure that I get best of the education available in the premises, in the like ambience, and with the available resources. So obviously there was a crunch on resources too, but then both my parents and even my grandmother, they collectively ensured that despite every stereotype was hailing there in the area, they ensured that I'll be going to school. So my schooling, when I look back into the memory lane, it feels it is actually worth celebrating because except for ships, trains, and flight, I have traveled with almost all modes of transportation, be it a cycle, balgadi, I mean bullock cart, or else a tanga, that is horse cart, and motorcycle, car, jeep, bus, truck. I mean, I have traveled to my school even in trucks also. So, and then it was a co-education school, which used to be a big bang thing in those days. I happened to be the first girl child in like 16, 17 villages around who started to go to the school. So, and there are two parts of mine. Like one was having strongly dedicated parents, crossing all the stereotypes, the social barrier of not educating a girl child because the concept was once the girls start going to school, they start being I mean they start following unchastity. They'll start getting into illegitimate things and what will happen if she gets into this and that. So they have lived through that and they ensured still at times they were scared too because the school and my home's distance was 10 kilometers. And in those days, those 10 kilometers used to be like, my God. Yeah, so, and there was no fixed source of mode of transportation. So the journey started with a lot of challenges, but yes, with the determination of my parents and my grandmother, they ensured that I do the proper schooling. Now, the other part of this journey was people would feel that I, belonging to such motivated parents, such dedicated parents, would be a really very, like very motivated child too. So, which I was not. I was mostly an introvert in the school, maybe because all my other friends they were from the town. The Shahganj area is a town area, and I used to be one of the rarest students who was traveling from a village. So there was certain sense of inferiority also. There was few financial constraints also, which my parents tried to come up with like with a lot of grace. But then as a child, I was an inferior child. And neither I was very much interested in the studies. It was my dad's dedication that he ensured that I should study, so I have to study, right? He used to get the copies done for the homeworks, for the leftover work. So it is completely to
Are
him that I
you still in touch with your school friends from those days?
with quite many of them, yes.
And what do they think about you today?
That's interesting. Honestly speaking, they feel that oh my god, what had happened to this pagal? How could she evolve so much? Many of them they still call me mental, but then yeah, it is fun. Few feel that I'm crazy too because See what happens now. People make notions. We make notions and they go so strong in your subconscious that in coming times, people do change too. When their environment change, when a lot of good people come around.
What do you think about your old self from school? I mean, how do you see? I mean, what what would you tell her to do differently then?
So there are certain thought process differences, and few of them are really strong. So in my schooling days, like it was a small town, and in general, what used to happen was if a girl was having fairly pretty looks as per the social norms. Socially, there are certain definitions we have defined, that these people are beautiful and these people are ugly and these people are average looking. So in my kind of schooling and that small town belongingness, if a girl if a girl student is having fairly okay or even little better looks and she belongs to a TikTok, I mean okay sa this thing background, family background, the financial one,
I'm
status.
just curious, what is this okay for the look and
I
the
mean, I
family
feel
background? I
I'm
mean, is there
okay.
something you could articulate? Something you could put some measure to it? Just
So
for understanding.
yes. So I would consider I am okay as per the social norms, or
Of
even I
what
would
the others would think that,
yes, in
okay,
terms of beauty and looks.
okay,
Because beauty has its set standards. No, socially you should look white skin. There should be white fair skin, and you should have
okay,
this kind of eyes, this kind of eyebrows, this kind of lips. This is how people define beauty.
okay.
Yeah, so that way I was okay, but then I had few other female friends, and they were classmates, and with those social norms, they would be called beautiful. So
Okay.
if you are a beautiful girl and having a or maybe a little higher financial status in the society, you will soon start becoming the top of the town. And there will be a lot
Mm.
of boys start chasing you. They'll keep staring at you. They'll keep trying to have the glance. They'll make talks about you.
So basically, they're higher in social hierarchy, as in financially better off and also better looking. So they tend to attract the attention of boys.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So which was not done
This
deliberately
is the
by these.
teenage
Yeah.
we are
Yes.
talking,
Yes.
high school.
But then how it turns out, like I would love to share this one instance that how it impacts lives. One of my
Mm.
friends, she used to be stared by one of the guys from class ninth till class 12th.
Okay.
Every classroom, every laboratory, every dissection room, wherever she was there, she was stared by this guy continuously and continuously. You just
You could
imagine.
not complain to teacher, no actions would be taken, or she
We,
won't
we,
complain.
we
Oh,
did
you did.
that for a settle of time, but then during complaining also we used to feel that we are the culprits. I mean, we
Why
are.
so?
This is the social norm. Is in general, we have created a society like this. If whenever a girl is going through any kind of molestation, she thinks twice, thrice, and 100 times before complaining about it, and that still is going on. Things have improved a bit, but still needs to go a long mile. Yeah. So the impact of this continuous staring had gone so dirty and so intense in the mind of my this friend. She's already working with social sector, very well established, but it got a lot of hatred inside, like from within, for men.
Okay.
She never got married. I mean, going the hatred to the extent that you start hating men and you don't feel like getting married and completely abiding with what you are doing, your thought process have gone through. So it is actually a crime. Now coming back to my friends, my old friends, those were the days. I might be okay, I might not be okay, but now it's been a long journey. I'm 42 now. Then I was just like 13, 14, 15, 16. Those were the 5 years from class 9 to 12. So what I used to think then and what I'm thinking today, there should be a level of transformation. There should be some set of evolution, which, and my part of evolution makes me realize that that is a stalking.
But today you live in Lucknow, right? The
Yeah.
state capital. Do you
Right.
still visit your that district
Yes, very
where you studied? How
very
much has it changed? How do you see it's changed culturally on these aspects?
So change, when I talk about change in terms of dressing of girls, has changed. But when we see about look at the mindsets, it has hardly, except for the fact that girl child education percentage, that gender diversity, that too has improved. More girls have started going to school. Yes, I became the first girl in those 16, 17, or 20 villages, maybe. Now every village is sending their daughters also to study. So gender has been not an issue, not have been the deciding factor that this child should go to school or not.
So that has
This
been a significant change then, if
this
everybody
is
is.
a significant change. Yes, yes.
But otherwise, on the other aspects, what you mentioned that okay, and
And that still
stalking
is
and
that still
oh,
is
it's still
going
there,
on. That still is going.
and no actions, no supportive actions to cope
See,
with it for the girls, and also I think the boys needs help,
it.
right? It's a problem. It's not that they need to be punished. They need to be
Yes, yes,
helped with to come
yes.
out of this.
So for that, we need to first of all acknowledge that this is a problem.
Oh, that's not being done.
That's the problem is people don't
What
feel that it
about
is
the families? Okay, school didn't do it. What about the families? I mean, your parents and the support.
somewhere, somewhere we are strongly belonging to that patriarchy, and where it feels that doing this is just another thing. And the more surprising thing is that friends whom I have lived my childhood, they too have grown up. They many of them are doing so well in their jobs and their own careers. But when I raised this issue that this was done by somebody, this was done by A, which impacted B into this, that she did not feel like getting married. Don't we feel that it is a crime? So the response I get from my friends is that way, though half of the school should be there behind the bars.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's the thing, right? It's not about punishing,
yeah, that's
but
what.
there had to be. Uh, I don't know. I mean, of course, I don't remember such situation here. I mean, I lived in a city. I went to school in a city. I don't think we had such situation. But but I don't know. So what do you do about it? I mean, how do you think that could be addressed?
Yeah. So
Are you doing anything about that as well in your
yes,
efforts?
yes, we are doing, because we have been doing a lot of workshops on POSH laws, that is prevention of sexual harassment of women at workplace.
So you go to schools and colleges, and or perhaps you train the teachers to understand it.
We have been doing a lot of gender
Okay,
sensitization workshops,
okay.
and we are trying to talk to people, trying to
Oh,
sensitize them.
okay, we'll keep this for the other part. So let's continue your journey. So after school, where did you go for higher education?
Yeah.
How did you Why did you pick Pharma in the first instance?
Okay, again, so that level of demotivation or disorientation continues. I had no interest in actually pursuing for my medical preparation also. But then my dad
Oh,
was
so you
very,
wanted to be a doctor first.
actually, I did not want to be anything, to be very, very honest.
I mean, didn't want to be anything but something. What did you
Nothing. I
want to?
just wanted to get married with a rich man and have fun on his money. That's it. That's all was my education, which is very funny. I know, very crazy. But then my
But
grandmother,
perhaps a lot of girls, irrespective of where they come from, still think like that. I think, right?
maybe, yeah. So like whenever
So
I
this
used
is
to,
it's not a thing because you come from a small village. I think it's a thing no matter where people come from it, and even anywhere in the world as well. So,
right. So what happened used to happen, no, when I was not studying well. So my father used to punish me with doing the household chores, like cleaning the utensils, doing the dishes, and cleaning and mopping things. And he used to say, if you're not studying, you'll end up doing this only. So that was the thing which created actually a hatred within me with these household chores. Though now I consider that they are all life skills. And I used to feel, my God, why this man is so much after my life? I'll get married to a rich man. I'll get all the luxury of the world. Why is
uh,
he so?
did you ever tell your father that?
No, not really then, but now I do. I could not afford to. I couldn't afford to. So this continued. I mean, I was never that motivated. And actually, I mean, I am a different kind of person. When I take ownership from myself, I mean, realized and discovered of late in later part of my journey. I was a person who could not be pushed to do something. If you keep chasing me, I won't do. I still am like that. Whatever motivates me and gives me the acknowledgement that I should get into this and it's my responsibility, it's an obligation, moral obligation upon me, I would better do those parts. So even the obligatory duties, no, like putting a helmet, putting the seat belt on, these things I feel they are required for a strong nation building. We should be law about abiding citizens in the terms of paying gratitude to the soldiers who have been sacrificing on the borders day in and out. It's a gratitude to the people who fought for getting us the freedom from the Britishers after a fight of almost 100 years, 100 plus years. So, there again, there's a motivation in Dutch. But if somebody comes and tells me that because you have to do it, you have to do it, I won't do that. I still am a bit rebel on that. So, and there the studies and education, everything was forceful, fine. Though their intention was very pure. I mean, having a fight with the whole society in just sending your daughter to the school, managing things from sending to bringing home was a big, big task which I did not acknowledge.
Another thing is UP is uh, big on casteism, right? Was it
It is.
big? It still is.
It is getting slightly better, but yeah, quite so much. I mean,
Your school days and college days must have been pretty.
so because here I would, what should I say? I had been fortunate or what? The uppermost strata in society that are Brahmins. So I belong to a Brahmin family.
So you had some sense of protection because of that.
So I had some sense of, I would say, slight bit of snob that I'm a Brahmin,
Mm.
which washed off late when I moved out, started meeting people from all across the country and all across the world. So yes, and we used to talk about casteism even during the schooling. At our homes also, we had different kind of
So,
pots.
I mean, was it so consciously ingrained so you don't make friends with the other caste people? I mean, was it like that in the school?
No, it was not that deep. I was not that staunch on it from within,
But
but
others were like that? Other people were like that?
there were people,
It
yes,
was
people
like that.
used to
I
talk.
mean, very
People,
openly.
nee, it was like hidden.
Okay.
Oh, don't eat in her tiffin. She's this.
Okay. And
Yeah.
how would they feel? I mean, what happened? I mean, are you in touch with those girls? How have they fared in life? I'm just curious if they were subjected. I mean, even if it was hidden, they would also feel it, right? I mean, it would become evident in some way or the other.
So not
How did
exactly
they
from my
fare?
school days. Not exactly from my school days. Actually, the gender ratio was also very diverse. No, if it is a class of 60 students, there would be hardly 7 to 8 girls or 10
Uh,
girls. That used to be the ratio, and amongst them, how many you can actually keep being friends for long. So not exactly from there, but yes, from my college days, even in fact, in the during the college, it was even more evident.
oh, is it?
School may still we did not talk openly about it, but in my college times, it became so open and vital. There was
Why
two,
so?
I don't know, there were two strong groups made. One was about generals, and other was about the scheduled
Okay,
class.
the reservation category.
The fight actually used to happen on that basis.
As in physically, people would.
In physical, yeah, there used to be physical
Okay.
fights. Yes, yes. I've been unfortunately part of your
You have.
matlab,
Okay.
I was not from the either of the sides, but yes, I was there as a protector, and in that light, I also used to get some bruises on my own body.
Okay. So there
Yeah.
was no gender bias at that point in time. It was caste bias. So you are part of a group.
Probably, yes. Yes, yes.
Wow. Okay. Okay. And so later, did you make friends with the other groups and all that? I mean, was it easy, difficult, or it took time for you to move to the city, and much later only then you could come to terms? How was that?
So actually, when I moved from Shahganj, Jaunpur to Varanasi for my medical preparations, there for the first time I met people from different titles, different surnames, different parts of the state, different parts of the country. Fine, Banaras, must have heard about Varanasi. PM
Been
Modi
there
is,
as well. Yeah.
yeah. So that was for the first time I met for people from versatile backgrounds, and there was one insecurity that I was always told, being a villager or small town girl, that the like students from the cities, they are very, like for us Varanasi used to be uh, a high culturally very high city, and very people are big with snob, and I mean whatever negative notions were there. So I was a bit scared whether how would I be able to cope up with the city and the students. So which was actually not as hard as I presumed. There may be two reasons behind it. Number one was my family was a highly educated family. Like my mother is an MA BEd. She was the first BEd person, MA BEd person in the whole area. She was the first person. Let not be male or men or women. So
Okay.
she was one of the most educated person in the whole area. My dad used to be a gold medalist from BHU, Banaras Hindu University, as a law graduate. And as I shared, he was an UPSC aspirant. My daddy herself was such a learned person. Many of the spellings she used to make me learn, which was a rare thing in those days. So belonging to such like family system, no, it definitely brings use, which you do not acknowledge till the time you are just sitting at that place. That I started acknowledging of late when I was there in Varanasi. The real challenge which I faced was in Varanasi was till the time I was there in Shahganj. My whole schooling was from a UP board, state board, and that was in Hindi medium. So the whole subjects, all the
So
curriculum,
English was one subject.
English was one subject. Here again, the good part was my dad was very good at
So here the
English.
medium of instruction changed to English from Hindi.
Here the medium of instruction changes to English. Here the whole curriculum, all your subjects, all your books, you have to read in English. So everything that I was reading in Hindi, I had to translate that. So one complete year went in just understanding whether what is the translated form of this particular subject. So which was a bit challenging, and unfortunately nobody was there to acknowledge this part. And even I was not being able to share this part because I could not do it. Yeah, so that was the part, and in tits and bits, the life was going on, and that was the time when I appeared for the medical examinations. But for this, the level of preparation that is required for competing for such exams, I was actually standing nowhere. But then there was an exam for UP Technical University that was for pharmacy students. So just filled the form because one of my friend's sister, it was the last date of filling that form, and we call her Kiran Didi, and she just asked me, "What are you doing? Have you filled the form?" And I was telling her, "Didi, I don't have money. It was costing just 500 bucks." So she told me, "My God, what this girl is doing." She called me, gave me those 500 bucks, told me to go there. And I was one of the last students who filled the form for this UPTU university. And as a result, I got selected over there. So both Vandana, my friend, and I, we got our admission in B Pharmacy. So actually, I mean, in fact, there also I was very resistant. I never wanted to go for pharmacy, but then my dad was like me, you should at least go for some professional curriculum. Once we went to travel to Noida, and I returned back from Noida only because it was Ramesh College, a famous one in Noida, and I just returned back because the hostels were like for girls and boys. First ground floor was boys hostel, and first floor was the girls hostel. So I said, no, 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 I'm not going to stay with boys like this, and just take me back. So it was not a lot of hue and cry. My dad got really, really angry and pissed off with me. But then we came back, and then in a week's time or so, there came an offer letter from Agra, the college I did my pharmacy with. Now, my dad was so furious. He said, "Now you have to go. That means go, you have to go." And I was left with no other choice but then to take admission over there. But I'm so grateful that he forced me to that extent. It was tough to handle me, but then he was mastering it. And then starts my journey of B pharmacy. So should I talk about my pharmacy journey as well?
Go ahead. Did you enjoy it too, or it was you somehow just managed to get out of it with the degree?
See, as a city, I would say there were mixed like emotions, mixed experiences. Because the person I'm married to, we were in a relationship, and this relationship started from my Varanasi days itself. And after me completing 1 year over there, I requested him to take admission over there. I kept on telling me, I don't know what will happen with me if you're not here. Please do come. And then in the following year, he also joined. So in college, he was 1 year junior to me. And my classmates, they had a lot of insecurity, they had a lot of ego that despite we being alive, we like rowdy men, how could she date somebody junior to her? Oh my God, you're late. I mean, I'm reliving that journey. So there were a lot of fights, a lot of filthy politics also happened, to which few of my friends, they were really, really very resourceful. Like I would love to name Bhagwan Singh Chaudhary, Ravi Shekhar Sharma, Vandana Anshi, Rajiv Rajput. They were the friends who actually protected us as couple. And while we were in the last year of our B pharmacy days, I mean, there was a lot of there was a fight going on for PCI registration, Pharmacy Council of India. So our college being a very new one, we were the first batch students of UPTU University also, and from a college also. So they were not registered with Pharmacy Council of India, which led to a lot of protest. And one of the biggest mistakes that we did in life was from that era. People sensitized, I mean, people instigated us to the extent that without having a PCI certification, I mean, many of the teachers also, I would say, they started instigating the students that the college, if the college is not PCI affiliated, you have no future and you will go haywire, this and that. So we started with the protest and it
So
went
your activism started there.
actually, actually, I was first covered on TV in Agra only.
Ah, okay, okay. And what did
So
your parents say for something like that?
uh, they used to say a lot of things, but then they used to do that.
Positive?
Not really.
Okay.
Because as parents, my journey of being a disoriented student continued till then. I was all the time engaged with the affair I had. And then this protest happened and it went ugly. And where our participation went wrong was we started cursing a lot, doing lot, bringing a lot of bad name to the principal of our college, Mr. S.C. Arora. So that was one of the mistakes of biggest blunders of life because he had been a person who used to bring lunch for us as hostlers, whose wife, whenever she came to the college, she ensured that she'll bring that amount of and variety of food that we can enjoy. And like as a hostler, you miss your home, no, mostly for
Home
food.
food.
Yeah. So somebody being so thoughtful to you. Whenever our parents used to visit, we used to pay a visit to their home also, my principal's home also, and they being so courteous, managing food and gesture. With a lot of love they have spread and showered, and we did not spare even them, which resulted in our principal sir having a heart attack.
For sure.
So he survived it, but then left at least me with the guilt. I don't know about others. Then after years, I actually called him. He's now in Karnal. I mean, somewhere in Haryana. So I called him and apologized personally to him. Ki, sir, I know what I have done amounts no forgiveness, but still I know you are that kind-hearted. You would certainly forgive me. I'm really, really sorry for all that I and us did. On behalf of all of us, I
So today, every time you think of activism or activity that has some consequence, do you think of what kind of a consequence and who would it could potentially hurt? I mean, is that a flag for you before you actually start?
Yes, actually, you are actually right. So I keep telling, like, a lot of young kids are interning with us, and as any young child has a lot of energy and lot of like rebelness uh, from within. So I keep telling them, see, I have already gone through a lot of such things, and trust me, it does not last long. Neither it contributes in shaping your life. The thing was, nobody was there for us to talk on these subjects like the way I'm talking to you. So if you have somebody like me, do maximize, utilize the knowledge. And actually, this is the wisdom which is based on the experience we had. So it's not necessary that everything you experience and then only learn. At times, if somebody is trying to mentor you, do take those learnings.
Correct.
So you are
And
right.
did your college get that affiliation after all that
Yes,
activism
yes,
and
yes. It got the affiliation, and I
so
was the first
so
student.
but do you think it was worth it in the way it was achieved?
It was, see, getting the affiliation was definitely a need. Is we would have
So,
not,
but also what happened, what you just told that story. So,
yeah,
do you think one, it was worth it, and two, you could have still done it in a different way, achieved the same
different.
success without
Yes,
actually damaging his?
yes, yes, yes. Because even for principal also, even for teachers also, it is important to teach in a college. Even for management also, it is important to seek or get the
Affiliation.
certification affiliation. Else, how would they survive in the longer term? But
Correct.
then we did not have that level of maturity and patience. And there was a big role of quite many of teachers as well, who initially used to pose themselves as young mentors, trying to
So they
look.
kind of used you to have their own agenda served.
I can say I have no shame in accepting this today. And of late, they themselves turned into such rebellious, such revenge-taking teachers that they had put the ear back on the students. Few of the students of from my class itself, like Bhagwan Singh Chaudhary, I mentioned, such a brilliant student he is, such a nice person he is. But he had been failed just because of taking the grudges out by one of the teachers, which as teacher I don't think is right. As teachers, you're just not for the knowledge transaction. We are supposed to be the mentors, the guides, and at times when students are behaving rebellious, we need to be knowing that how to behave. Like if
Correct.
my interns are working weird, acting weird, it's my job as a mature adult to treat them wisely instead of
Right.
taking revenge from them. Then what is the
Correct.
value of being a teacher or mentor?
Cool. And you did the post graduation soon after, or you took up a job?
I actually use after that also in 2004 I completed my B pharmacy, and because Anil, my husband, he was still studying in the college, so just to stay around him, I did not join any substantial job. In the name of preparing for PG for GATE, I stayed back in Agra itself, taking small PT jobs for 3,000 bucks, 5,000 bucks, which did not work out because I knew they're not my type of job. So I could not continue like after a month time. And just wasted 1 month, 1 year, complete 1 year. 2004 to 5, I have completely wasted. Then came the turning point of my life. By this time, all my these close friends whom I named, from Bhagwan Singh to Vandana and Anshi, either they joined some or the other very good colleges for their higher studies, or else they started pursuing their jobs. The only aimless person and Vela person was me. There came the realization that, my God, what have I been doing for years and years and years? By the time I was already 22, 23. So 22 years is a big time, no? And it felt like, my God, my parents have done so many of things for me. They have put so much of efforts for me. And what as a child have I given them back? And by the time it was such that despite having a lot of financial crunch, there were a lot of financial misleadings. We got Um, we got stuck with some brokers in because of few things, and like dad lost a lot of money, something between 25 to 27 lakhs within a period of 3 years. But still, he was wanting me to go for the PG that I can get a respectable job. But then it felt that now it is the time I need to start with my career, and I immediately started searching for the jobs for which my dad was not prepared, because I picked up job of a medical rep, which is said to be in our kind of family structure. We had a lot of bureaucrats, lot of judges, lot of doctors, engineers in the family. So having a job of a medical rep was considered to be one of the most humiliating profession ever. But here my awareness started working. I knew whatever I'm choosing is with full consciousness and with full awareness, and I'll succeed. But then the decision of me choosing this job left my dad extremely puzzled. I remember I touched his feet while coming to Lucknow for like searching the jobs. He did not even respond to me. We have a culture of tradition of touching feet and then parents blessing you. He did not do that, and he did not talk to me for almost 4 or 5 months. But then it happens. It is said, no, when you start thinking the way you think, the universe and subconscious starts responding the same way. So that happened with me. I chose Panisha Biotech as for my first organization. Panisha Biotech, they are the makers, researchers of Nimolit, Nimosalite. That's a painkiller. I joined the organization and joined for achieving success in life. And there it started. I joined with the purpose that within a year time I would be promoted, which was a very rare thing in pharma industry. My bosses used to laugh at me. They used to feel, my God, how crazy this girl is. Then they used to feel, oh my God, it's fine. She's hardworking. She's passionate. She's putting a lot of efforts. And then let's let it be. But then I used to repeat this every day that within an year I'm going to succeed. Within an year I'm going to get my first promotion. And I mean, it reiterates me, it reinstates within me that whatever we thought, that create whatever our thoughts are, they create and recreate the power of the subconscious, and it responds uh, similarly. So even today, it helps me in getting better with my thought process. Whenever I'm feeling low, whenever I feel gloomy, I get back in my thoughts and try to identify the power of subconscious and thoughts and get back on work with a bang. So in 9 months here in Lucknow, I already established my journey. Like I could put my footprints over here. The one constraint here came in my life was my communication skills. Like till the time I left Shahganj, my native place, to being in Varanasi and then being to Agra for my pharmacy course. By this time, I had the fair understanding of reading English thoroughly and understanding it. And I had
But
a
speaking was still a challenge.
speaking was still a challenge. So at times when I used to speak in the doctor's chamber with on joint calls with my bosses, they used to feel scared because I used to speak very dangerous English. So
I'm
they
just
used
curious, were there no classes? Because I remember there used to be a lot of this speaking courses
courses.
taught, classes, and all that. Were they there?
Fortunately, they were there, but I never joined one.
Okay.
I never joined one. I'll share my journey about learning English. That might interest to people who belong to the small towns, and their native language is so highly like infiltrated in their brains that they still feel that speaking English or learning any other language is a challenge. So what happened was during my joint calls, my bosses used to tell, my God, the kind of English she speaks, we are scared that at someday the doctor like leaves the chair and will slap us tight. So at times it used to feel very humiliating. And I got to know, unless I learned speaking English well, I won't be able to succeed in this career, at least in this profession. And that made me realize, no, I'll have to learn. I'll have to learn. So in from the next calls onwards, what I used to request my bosses that please speak in this call, and I will repeat in the next call whatever you have communicated. So putting these efforts, they started identifying that this girl is willing to learn, and they guided me upon that you start reading English newspapers. You start with a few books. They might be little masala books, gossip books, but then your aim is right now not to become an editorial blogger or something. Right now, your aim is to learn English. So whatever interests you in English literature, you go with that. So I started reading those gossip pages of Times of India and then Hindustan Times. I mean, Lucknow Times used to be the page dedicated to like actors, actresses, whatever is going on in their lives. So all the masala bullshit. But then I picked it up with, and then my first guru became Chetan Bhagat. If at all you ever get to meet him, please convey him my regard. There are people who consider his books are really real shit in terms of English literature or something. But for me, he is guru. I read all his books starting from 5.1 someone to whatever has been published till now. And then in small statements, I used to like read the statements, then I used to translate them in English in the brain, and I used to communicate. And off late, on and off, doing this, and then bosses also started appreciating the efforts. And as I shared with you, I'm a person who was driven by motivation and appreciation. Pressurizing me actually does not work. That's how I am. And that's how this journey of English speaking came.
No,
And
but so that must have given you a lot of confidence to grow further up. But where did this speed of quitting and getting into doing a social service and
oh, that is
activism,
again
how did that come about? What changed?
that is again interesting. Like while my journey on pharma industry went really well, I got promoted within an year's time. In fact, in 11 months' time, and that still is a record within the industry. So that I achieved, and then I worked as an area business manager. Then I had a like instinct of working with any as a training manager. So I got my work with Piramal Healthcare. That was my first job as a trainer, and got a lot of learning. I mean, today, whatever learnings I'm imparting with my people during trainings, I owe that all to my boss, KK Prabhat, there in Piramal Healthcare. I proudly take his name, though they were very strong days. I mean, very hectic days. He used to be very rude at times, but then it helped me, helped shaping me. And then there was an instinct of working with an MNC. So my last assignment with pharmaceutical industry was there with Merck Serono, the makers of Polybion and Neurobion. They are the probably the oldest organization, pharma organization, hailing from Germany. And this was the time when I grew up, got married, the same man, and became mother of two kids. So even after my first child, who's a daughter, was born, I continued with my work with the help of my mother, with the help of my parents. At the same time, after the birth of my second child, it became slightly challenging to because they were too small and I did not have anybody at home. Like my grandmom, my mother-in-law was not there. My mother could not stay with me. So it felt it's fine. I had a good career growth, career journey. Let me have some good time with my kids. Let me see them growing. And because once they'll grow up, I'll not be able to revisit their childhood. So it was a very conscious decision of taking a break from like pharmaceutical industry. And 2012 was the year I came back to Lucknow. Previous to that, I was there in Delhi and Mumbai. Uh, Once I came back here, I knew that obviously I don't have, I mean, there are very limited job opportunities, and with my profile, it was not possible. So instead of searching for the jobs, I started focusing upon like what else can be done. And my mother had been always a very staunch believer that whenever a lady is on family way or else she's helping raise her kids, she should invest in herself, and that investment means studying. Like my first PG in like social science that also happened during my first pregnancy, and after my second child was born, with motivation of my mother and support of my brother and then husband, I started studying law.
Why
By this,
law?
very interesting question. So why law? Because my father is a lawyer and my brother is a lawyer. There are a lot of lawyers in family and they're successful ones. My mama ji is a very successful lawyer in Allahabad High Court. So, but then me joining law as a course was with mere expectation that by the time I complete my law course, most of my friends will rise up and high in the industry, and I'll be able to grab few profiles of legal advisor. Will be able to create some 60, 70,000 rupees a month or maybe a lakh's time. So along with raising my kids, this money is also a good to go amount for living a life routine life. So that was the only orientation, to be very, very honest. But then studying law was another turning point in my life because this was the time I already started volunteering for a few organizations because I was not a person who could sit idle at home for the all 24 hours. I loved being with my kids. I loved being at their schools with in parents teachers meetings, and at the same time, I wanted something constructive which helps me identify the inner me, inner myself.
Volunteering helped.
Volunteering help. So volunteering, maybe I had been very very fortunate that I could volunteer for People Baba and People
What's
Baba.
that?
People Baba. He is Swami Prem Parivartan.
Okay.
So he is a planter. He has been planting for last 47, 48 years now.
So
And
people is the tree. The people,
people is the tree. He has
people
planted so
Baba.
many
Okay.
people trees that
Okay.
people lovingly started calling him People Baba.
People Baba. Okay.
Else his
Interesting. And this
original
is
name,
where in Lucknow, is it?
he stays in Delhi.
Delhi. Okay.
Yeah. So his original name is Azad Jain. He was born in Pune. And his father is a retired colonel, I think, doctor, retired as a doctor. Still is serving to army also and
So
otherwise also. So I started volunteering People Baba and having volunteered for him itself is a blessing, is a healing. Right?
okay.
So selfless he had been as a person was a real motivation for life. And actually, two things happened parallelly. One was that I was volunteering for organizations like Give Me Trees Trust and then Prithvi Innovations and few more, and helping people otherwise also, like getting somebody's maternal things checkups done, sonography done, getting them with food, getting them with medicines, basic medicines, and helping them with their deliveries, maternal deliveries at all, etc. That was one part of the journey, and the other part was there from the shaping from the College of Law. So the college was not of a very high stature, but then it had best of the teachers, and few of the teachers actually they joined the same year I joined my course of law. It was in 2014. So they joined the college just to earn some of their pocket money as they had been aspirants of judicial services, and they just did not want to take money from like pocket money from the family anymore because they were in the age range of 29, 30, 31, 32. So, and I was so fortunate to have them as my teachers, and they taught me that learning law is actually above and beyond than just going to court of law and practicing wearing that black coat. When you know laws of the land, you can actually bring a lot of change and reform to yourself, to the people around you, maybe your direct family members, then the extended family members, relatives, and then you can bring change to the society and states and the
So
nation.
do you still practice law then?
So I'm not a practicing lawyer. I don't go to court
Okay.
of law. But then my knowledge of knowledge of law helped me, and it is still helping me quite so much in conducting the sessions of posh laws.
Mhm.
That is prevention of sexual harassment of women at workplace. So there actually three things work together. One being lawyer, second being a trainer, and third being a socialist. So in general, a posh
Socialist or activist, you mean?
uh,
How does socialist help you there?
this welfare activist we can call as socialist.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Mm.
So I went to consumer court for commission for some while, for almost 2 months with one of my very good friends. She became my first guru and mentor in field of law, Shuchita Singh. But then I could not continue because probably my calling was here. And then there was a case. We actually helped sensitizing municipal corporation for developing a park here in Lucknow itself, which is in front of my friend's house, Ms. Parveen Akhtar. So, and there was some nuisance created by a few of the people. So she needed my help. And my kids were learning Taekwondo from her on the same ground. So to get the things done, I started supporting her. And in that, it discontinued and it is still discontinued. So this is how it is.
Well,
So,
yeah, yeah. Please go ahead.
yeah, actually, this partner, you asked that how from pharmacy, pharmaceutical industry, and then getting into social work. So this was the time which was preparing me as a social worker. Actually, I never felt that I would ever be known as a social worker. It was again not at all planned. So planning I have done only once in my life, and that was during my pharmacy days. I mean, pharmaceutical industry days. When I joined the industry, it was with the planning that I'll get promoted within 1 year, and by the 10 years of my career, I'll become the CEO of any organization. And my career graph was actually going exactly same way. Just after my kids were born, I took a like conscious decision. And when I look back into that part, now it's been like 17, 18 years of me being associated with the industry. And it's been 6 years that I'm actually being a president of, being named as president of an organization. The level, the stature may be big or small, but then yes, CEO and president are
But
almost.
Manjari, what is that? For a small town girl who had to travel 10 kilometers to go to school, and the only girl in the 10, 20 villages around, and who was not very motivated, who wanted to marry a rich man and just settle down happily. What was that thing that motivated such a girl to aim to become a CEO in 10 years? What was that?
So the motivation was my parents' continuous sacrifice and patience. I did a lot of nasty things during my pharmacy days, lot of them, and they handled it
And you are
with.
also very introvert. You are not very aggressive, but this is it looks like a different person who actually aims to become a CEO in 10 years coming from that background, right? It looks like a different uh,
Yeah.
it's not it can't be, it doesn't sound like the same person.
So I think when I say that I was introvert, I must say that it was more of inferiority driven
Correct, correct.
than being real introvert, because then I did not know also what is being introvert, what is being extrovert, or even a ambivert. By now I can say that I am an extrovert. I talk to people, I love meeting people. I In fact, the purpose of doing training and enjoying them at fullest, my team tells that
Right,
whenever you're doing a training and interaction, you glow.
right,
So that it's because that happiness that I get from meeting and
right.
talking, interacting with them.
No, but you also said Chetan Bhagat's books helped you in the course,
Yes, it
right?
helped me.
That was from a language point of view. Perhaps
Yeah.
somewhere also those characters gave you a lot more confidence. I don't know, but the language surely it helped.
In fact, reading 5 Point Someone was actually an eye opener. Though I was not, I had not done anything such, or
Have
still I
you
was.
have you written to him about it?
No, not yet. I should
I
now.
think you should. I think you should because see, today as an author, it's we take it upon ourselves to respond to people, and it is nice. So I'm sure maybe a lot more people will be writing to him because he's a very celebrated author. But I think I'm sure he likes it every time someone actually the kind of things what you're saying. You should write to him.
Yeah, in fact, yeah, thank you so much for this recommendation. I must write to him. In fact, in every conversation of mine, whenever I am asked to share my life journey, I remember to talk about him. In fact, in my Josh Talks had covered my journey some 2.5 years ago. So there also I had
There are
mentioned
serious. But what other books do you read today apart from Chetan Bhagat?
Nowadays, I'm more into spirituality.
Mhm.
Like 2023, January was the first book the first book I read was Sri Siddhima. So she was the person to whom Baba Neem Karoli Ji Maharaj has transcended his powers. If you know
So
more
is
Baba
this the herb? I've heard of Neem Karoli Baba, but not Siddhima.
Sri Siddhima,
I mean,
yeah.
Neem Karoli Baba is like world famous, right? After Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
So,
So he transcended his powers to Sri Siddhima. And I
so
was
what
very,
you read is her biography, is
is
it?
her biography written by
Okay.
Dr. Jaya Prasad.
Okay. It's in Hindi,
It's
or
in
is it in
English.
English as? Oh, English. Okay. Okay.
It's a good book. I mean, I still remember while reading that, I was at times I was in tears, and then when I used to be alone, I used to cry loud. My God,
Oh,
bhon, bhon.
so you continue to do general reading in English? Because I know I have many friends uh, who prefer doing general reading still in their mother tongue, but do professional reading more for professional reason. But this is more of a general reading, and you still choose to read it in English.
I do that because I still know that
Or
whatever
you
I
do it consciously, or it's just that it is a good book and it is in English and you read.
yeah, actually, it's not a for Hindi reading and story readings. I do use Pratilipi, that is an app or a phone. So I do read
Ah,
stories, lot of Hindi
it's
stories.
from Bangalore, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah.
Lovely. So I do a lot of stories. I have like taken the subscription also, that premium subscription that I can read them endlessly. While going to bed, I make sure that I'm reading at least one or two stories, or maybe a big one, long story in many
Oh,
parts.
so you keep that as well. Okay.
Yes, I do keep that as well. And whenever I'm finding
Yeah,
any,
you were saying something more about her. So while I interrupted, sorry. Do you want to tell more about her? What's her name again?
Sri Siddhima,
Shri Siddhima. Is
Siddhima
she still around or?
has left her body.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So reading her book was full of awakenings. I mean, every good book, there's still a lot more to be done, but that this too one was very beautiful book. In fact, I traveled
So who
to
would you recommend this for? I mean, for our audience and listeners, what kind of people should be reading this Shri Siddhima?
people who at times are in a lot of doubts, who have a lot of
Doubt as in a self-doubt?
self-doubt. And we generally have a tendency, it's not people's fault, but then we are conditioned this way that we have been told since the birth that the world is not a nice place. People are not good. People around us are always there to cheat upon us. They're always there to um, do something mischievous. They will harm us. So I don't say that there are not bad people are not around, but then I feel if you want to start looking at world with a different perspective through different lens, then actually things are beyond our these like open visual
So this
capacities,
book kind of helps you get a different perspective on it.
realizations.
And
Yes.
it's not a religious book, it's more spiritual.
Not at all, not at all. It's not
Okay.
religious at all. The best part, there were a lot of beautiful parts in the book. The best part which I liked was in general, when we follow any thought of school, any religious school, uh, like believers of any panth or sampradaya, what happens is people start showcasing that their guru, the spiritual body, is the highest in the world, and they start doing a comparison with others, which is bad. Every being is different, and when we fail to acknowledge this part, that is where the whole purpose of getting into spirituality is vanished. That is my thought process. It might be right, it might not be right too. But in this whole book of Sri Siddhima, which was written by Jaya Prasad ji, I could not visit even one instance, even one mention where they are talking about other gurus any less. In
Mm,
fact, they have talked about a lot of good practices practiced by other gurus too.
mm.
That was the life journey of Neem Karoli ji also. And same was followed by Shri Siddhima. As much was mentioned there in the book. So that was a click point that we don't need to compare to people. We just need to be ourselves. And that helps me. Like there are people who will try to compare with you, who would feel ki you are being covered with this magazine, this newspaper, this media group, and why are they not being? Then they will try to put some of their negative traits into it. They'll send those negative energies. But then reading that book gave me the feeling that I need to evolve myself to the extent that these things don't bother me anymore. So, which is very important when you start growing. People in
Good.
leadership roles, they must read this
Any
because what
podcasts you recommend or you follow?
uh, podcast, not in general. In fact, Insta and other social media platforms we use mostly for just posting the Jijivisha work and then I come back. Uh, at times I listen to Jaya
Well,
Kishori.
I'll try to insert then maybe apart from Future Fast, what do you recommend?
And, can you repeat the question?
Apart from Future Fast, the podcast.
Okay.
This apart
Okay.
from it, if you want to recommend anything.
Yes, I do follow Richa Anirudh. Have you heard about her?
Okay. No.
She's a journalist
Okay.
based in Noida. She belongs to Jhansi.
Hmm.
She is one of the most celebrated journalists for me
Okay.
because whenever her pod, I
And
don't
her
know,
podcasts are about what?
it is Zindagi with Richa.
Okay.
Yeah, and she brings a lot of success stories of
Okay.
people who have gone through a lot of odds in their lives
Hmm.
and still came over and
Okay.
out and shining and rising high. So she spreads a lot of positive stories.
Hmm.
Then there is one lyricist and storyteller. He's Nilesh Misra, if you have heard about him.
Oh yes.
Nilesh Misra,
Yes.
yeah. So he hails from Lucknow.
I've heard about him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay. He runs some podcast.
a slow interview.
Okay.
I'm not very sure if it is exactly podcast or an interview, but he also tries bringing a lot of such people who are an inspiration, knowing their journey.
Hmm. Hmm.
That is at times whenever I get time and I'm properly informed,
Hmm.
so I do listen to it.
Oh, okay. And you know him as well, since you're
He
in the
also
same
knows
city.
me.
Okay. Okay. Nice. So
Yeah.
wonderful. To all the listeners and audience, the links are there right below this podcast. You can follow her work, and please do share it with people you think will benefit out of this conversation because very interesting uh, thought perspectives shared, and also her own process of evolving. It's unplanned, of course, but uh, uh, everything seems to have fallen in place to take it to what she does, and that is what we will be discussing in our next episode. And do come back, and if you have not yet subscribed to Future Fast yet, please do it right now. Once again, thank you so much, and really appreciate you sharing your journey with us.
Thank you so much. Namaste.